What's going on, everyone? Steven here. Today I've got another Lua tutorial for you. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We're going to take an auto-assembler script that we write and we're going to convert it to Lua, and then I'm going to show you how to essentially obfuscate your Lua functions that you create to run what you've converted. So basically, if you were to have a trainer that you created and you put it out there in the wild, basic script kiddies, so to speak, wouldn't be able to just do, scan memory and find plain text references to things that you might otherwise have references to if you kept it as an auto-assembler script. Okay, so this won't stop people who really understand how to scan memory for changes, but by and large, the people who just generally use this sort of stuff with cheat engines, scanning for basic values and maybe strings, they won't find your information or your functions or whatever. Okay, so I'm in Terraria again. I've already searched for health. I found that value. The cheat that I want to do is get rid of the instruction that subtracts from your health whenever you get hit. So I'm going to find what writes to the address. Now this is in Terraria. I've already hacked this game, so I know this instruction exists. Alright, so we have this ink that popped up, and that's because I'm also gaining health from that fire. But anyway, this is the instruction of interest. So if I go show disassembler, here's the instruction. We can go tools, auto assemble, template AOB injection. We'll say OK, and we'll call it H sub for like health sub. Okay, and so now what I'll do is, since AOB scans tend to be, intensive, so to speak, the larger the game, the more code it has to go through to find potential matches. I'm going to just define as H sub this symbol name that we see cheat engine sees. So Terraria.player hurt plus DCF. Okay, so whenever we enable this script, we're going to make it to where boom, health isn't subtracted. Alright, so I'm going to file, assign to current cheat table, and we'll keep that as, well, we'll say AA script. Okay. Alright, so if I enable this now, okay, what we can watch here is go to View, User Defined Symbols, watch that window. Okay, watch this, actually I can stop and close that. Let's see, I'll bring this down just a little bit. So we're going to watch the code here change. We're going to watch the user-defined symbols pop up once we enable it. Boom. Here's the defined symbol. Excuse me. Now we're going to follow this jump. And boom, it's going to jump right back. Alright, so that jumped to our code injection. And because we commented out that instruction for the sub, we didn't see it there. Right? And then it comes right back. So now if we disable the script, boom, the original code is back. This symbol is gone. Okay, and if we go back, this was where we were in memory to our injected code, and that memory has been deallocated. So let's go back again to this place. All right. So what we want to do is convert this to Lua. Okay, and the first thing that we would want to do in keeping it, to where we could use it with the auto-assembler script here, we do this, $Lua, and then we go if syntax check, then return end. And this is because if there's any Lua in an auto-assembler script, whenever you go to enable it, it will compile that Lua first. All right, and in that process, it will actually enable and do things if you don't have this at the top, or wherever you want it to not enable when it's doing its syntax check, okay, to make sure that everything's fine with your Lua. So you don't necessarily have to understand that. Just know that if you're going to use Lua and an auto-assembler script, have that line in there, just under that at the top, above enable and all that. Okay, so now what we want to do is, let's say, well, first let's make this an actual multi-line comment in Lua. Okay, that's the format for that. So let's first start with AOB scan. Okay, let's bring this register symbol up. Cheat engine keeps it down there, but let's say that we actually wanted that. Okay, so first we're going to do as if we don't have this define here, okay, which we'll comment that out like Lua. We're going to do this first. So what we would do is AOB scan, okay, and we're just going to run, we'll pass these bytes as a string. All right, and so what this is going to do is, presumably your AOB here is unique. There's only one result, okay? But what this AOB scan will do, is find all results, okay? So let's say there's multiple places that this particular byte array is found. This will result in essentially an object that references each of those places in memory that it found this byte array, okay? So what we'll do is do this and 0, and what that does is, because that index is 0 based, this will look at the 0th result, okay, which is going to be the memory address pointing to this byte array, or where that actual byte array exists, rather, okay? And so what we'll do is we'll say like scan, and in Lua this is creating a variable called scan, and it's going to equal the result of this. So the result of doing this is it runs the AOB scan, it pulls the 0th result of that, which is technically the first result, but because it's a 0-based index, and that address where it sees that at will be stored here in scan. All right. So then what we want to do is, so that we can reference that like in a global context and from other scripts if we wanted, we could say register symbol, and we'll say H sub, since that's the symbol we have here, H sub and scan. Okay, so now we've registered the symbol H sub to scan. Okay, so now that we've done that, that would be doing the AOB scan version. All right, if we want, instead of doing that, right, we'll comment that out. Okay, we'll still keep this. I'm actually going to comment that out. And then this. This define here that I did, we can basically do the very same thing by saying scan equals, and then we can just copy and paste this. Okay, and now we can keep H sub there, scan. All right, so even though this is a symbol name that we're essentially registering a symbol for, that's what we would essentially be doing anyway. So this is just a quicker, more efficient thing than doing the AOB scan if we have, you know, module plus offset. Like maybe instead of that we had Terraria .exe plus 0d14c or something like that, right? Module plus offset. Actually, it would be this. And then we would probably do single quotes around that, like so. Okay. So just a little heads up on that. Okay, so now that we've done that, we've got that our define. I'm going to cut that and pop it up here as well, just to know that that's what we did with that. And the scan part, that's done. Perfect. So now what we want to do is allocate memory. That's the next thing. Okay. So what we'll do, it's the same thing. We have, well, allocate memory is the Lua function that we're going to run, and then we need to tell it how much memory to allocate. So we'll keep that same number. 0x is just a prefix to mean hexadecimal, so hex 1000 is 4K memory. And we're going to assign the result of this to a variable called mem. Okay, so what this is going to do is allocate 1000 hex bytes of memory somewhere, and the result of this, it will return the address of wherever that memory was allocated. So mem, the variable here, will contain that address. Okay, so now we've got that, and I'm actually going to register symbol new mem. Okay, so now wherever new mem is referenced and H sub, it's just going to stay consistent. Excuse me. All right, so I'm going to comment that alloc out. We'll actually put that above Okay. You know what? I'm actually just going to, well, yeah, I'll keep it there for now. Okay, so now that we've got our memory allocation and we've got essentially the AOB scan, right? Now I'm going to get rid of the label code here because we don't need it, so we can get rid of the code there and bring that up. And we can use something called auto assemble, okay? And this is going to allow us to keep this as is and not worry about doing all this in Lua, okay? And we can say auto assemble, and what we need to do is pass that. What we could do is pass it this. All right, so we would need to do like that and this. Paste that there. We could hit tab. Okay, and so we could pass it like that. But if your script is pretty big and you don't want to necessarily have it in there like that, you could also say script or something like that equals this. Okay, and then within that we'll paste. I'll hit tab. I'm going to delete it from there. And then what we can do is pass that auto assemble script. Same thing. Okay? So that's the approach that I'll use right there. And boom, that's done. Okay? So that whole enable is done. We've converted it to Lua. We're going to be able to apply that to a Lua cheat table. Okay? So for the disable section, what we want to do is, H sub is referenced and it declares these bytes, which basically it writes the original instruction back. And then we have a symbol unregister and a deallocation of memory. So we want to essentially duplicate that. Well, in Lua, what we want to say is write bytes, okay? And we're going to reference the variable scan instead, okay? So scan contains the address that we want to write these bytes back to. We're not going to use the symbol because I think Cheat Engine will unregister the symbol before, and then that reference won't be good. I think. I've had some issues doing that, but could be a little off on that. But anyway, just to be safe. All right, and then what I want to do is go 0x, comma. Actually, this is a little cumbersome, but this is what you have to do. Okay. And then actually 0x, shift, copy, paste, 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 paste. Okay, so write bytes to scan. We're going to write each of these individual bytes. Okay, so boom, that part is done. I'm just going to comment that out actually. Okay, and now what we'll do is unregister the symbol. Well, right here I registered a symbol of new mem. Okay, so first we'll unregister symbol. Now notice the slight syntax difference. It's all lowercase here with the auto assembler, but we'll need it with this camel case format. Okay, unregister symbol new mem. Unregister symbol H sub. All right, and that we'll comment that out. And instead of dealloc, we will use dealloc. So again, the slight change with the casing there. And what we're going to deallocate is actual mem. So here, okay. And we can pass an optional parameter of the amount of memory that we want to deallocate. I usually just like to pass it through whatever I allocated just because, right? And finally, if we want, we can set scan equal to nil, which means like there's nothing there anymore, and mem equal to nil. All right, so before I run any of this, what I want to do is show you, like if you're probably like, how on earth do you know what's going on with these different functions? All right, two things. First, the Cheat Engine Lua wiki, okay? So you can go through here, and if you wanted to do something like allocate memory, Control F, start typing alloc. And here we've got allocate memory, okay? If you see a result in red, that means on that page, if you go to it, there's not going to be any information there. That's where it's handy to reference the actual Lua documentation from celua.txt, which is just a giant text file, in the source code of Cheat Engine, but you can Control F and you know what you're looking for. Allocate memory. Boom. Here it is. Tells you what it does. Shows you the parameters here, which ones are optional. So, boom, just futzing with it here. Dealloc, address, and optional parameter of size, freeze allocated memory. Perfect, right? So, we've got that. I just wanted to show you that because between these two things, you should be able to get most things done. If you really can't figure it out, then just Google something, you know, and Google in the context of the Cheat Engine forum, and I would wager that most things you're trying to do have perhaps been done. All right, so now what we should do is, I think this will be all that we need. So I'm going to File, Assign to Current Cheat Table. Boom. Okay, look, we've got an issue expected symbol near return. Okay, what did I do wrong here? Script is that, label return. Let's see, new mem, there's that. Auto assemble script. Dealloc mem. Not quite sure what the issue is here at the moment. Maybe I need to local. Oh, duh. This right here. Okay. Don't want to have that. There we go. All right. We want all that stuff tucked into here in script. Okay. So now I should be able to say File, Assign to Current Cheat Table. Boom. It's there. Now we'll say Lua AA script. Okay. I'm going to close that. Now I'm going to go to enable it, and we should see our two symbols here. We'll see the code change. All right. Boom. There it is. Jump to new mem. We've got our symbols here. Right-click Follow. There we are, and our new mem. And let's make sure the cheat works. Perfect. Escape. All right. When I disable this, this memory should go bye-bye. There it is. It's been deallocated. Symbol names are gone. I'm going to go back, and here we are in our original place. Code as it should be. Perfect. All right, so we've done the heavy lifting now. What we want to do is go table, show cheat table Lua script. All right, and now what we can do is create two functions. All right, so what we want to do is, in the actual Lua trainer that we're going to make, I'm going to have two buttons, one enable and one disable, just to make it really easy for us to sift between the two, okay? So I'm going to make two functions. I'm going to name one script enabled end, okay? Copy, paste, script disabled. Okay, and so with script enabled, what I'm going to do is open up that Lua script that we did. And everything under the enable section, I'm going to copy that, and I am going to paste it into here. And then I'm going to hit tab. All right. Just to keep things clean or whatever, I'm going to get rid of the comments because we have those comments in the other script over here. And now with our disable section, I'm going to copy that, place it in the script disabled. Highlight that, tab. Let's get rid of the comments. Whoops. All right, so we've got these two functions, okay? And we'll end up tying these functions to button clicks. I'm going to close this right now. And what we can do to test to make sure that these functions work is, first of all, we can go ahead and define these functions in the Lua engine. And so let's go up here in the memory viewer. Tools, Lua engine. All right, I'm just going to paste both of those functions I created. Execute. All right, and what we can do to make sure they work is, I'll keep that up here. Let me go to that Lua engine again. Here we go. And I'm going to close that for now. Okay. Select this, delete it, and when I type in script enabled and I run that, we should see all the changes happen with the symbols and everything. So script enabled, execute, boom, there's the jump, here's the symbols, we'll follow it, boom, follow, perfect. All right. Script disabled, execute, bam, everything's back to normal. Okay, our functions are working. Well, now what we want to do is encode these functions, okay? And so what we can do is we're going to have those encoded function versions be the things that run from the button clicks, okay? So what I want to show you is in here we can go Control F, encode. Okay, so we've got encode function and decode function. All right, and then you can see activate protection, which don't worry about that when it's not useful anymore. Enable DRM, you can read into that if you would like. Encode function. All right, we see what to do and sort of how to use it. And if you want perhaps a little more on it, you can Control F here, encode function, and see whatever is in the CE Lua text. Okay, so I'll show you what it does, and actually, just because to save one small step, which isn't necessary per se, but just to show you that there's some fun stuff here. Clipboard. Write to clipboard, read from clipboard. So we can go write to clipboard, which is like, you select something and you right click and go copy. That's being written to the clipboard. Okay, what we're going to do is write to the clipboard the result of encode function, and we're going to pass it the function name script enabled. Okay, and let's go execute. Now if I just paste in here, boom, that's the result of running that function. Okay, so now that we have that, what we can do is, I'm just going to execute that. It's going to say script error because, I just want to have it here. We could have just printed instead. So, we could go print encode function script disabled. All right, so script disabled. We're going to execute that. Boom, that's the script disabled one. Okay, see how they're slightly different here? Whoops. And that one. Okay, so word of caution, see right here there's a space after the end of this. If you have that space in whenever you pass this to decode function, it will bomb out on you. Okay, so just FYI. All right, so now that we have that, what we want to do is go to File, Generate Generic Trainer. We'll say Generate Trainer, or no, before Generate Trainer, we want to go to Design User Interface manually. And I'm going to link to a video now to show you, if you haven't watched it yet, I've got how to make a trainer from scratch in Cheat Engine. I'm basically going through that same thing right now, except a really fast version. I want 2 buttons. All right, so I don't care where they're at on the form at the moment. This is going to be enable. The second button is going to be disable. Okay, and so for the enable, we're going to go to events and double click on click here. All right, so on click, we're going to decode function and pass as a string because that's going to be enable. We know that the first one we ran in Lua engine, the first one was the script enabled. We're going to copy that and paste that. Okay, and so now what we can do is with the button 2, double click on click. All right, and then we will go back to Lua engine and copy the script disabled one. Decode function. Boom. Now remember that space I was telling you about. When you copied to clipboard, it doesn't copy that space, but when it prints, you'll have that space there. So, all right, almost done. What we could do is assign these to a name, like N for enabled, dis for disabled, and then you could say dis and then parens like that. But if you want to do, like in JavaScript, it's called an IFI, an immediately invoked function expression. We'll do the decode function, and then to immediately run it, we'll just put the parens right after it. Okay, so that way we have even less verbiage. Okay, boom, we've got that. All right, and so now that I have that, I am going to comment out these. Now, I would delete them from the script totally. Okay. Actually, that's not going to work because there are these here, so I'll have to go like this. Okay, and then that, and then we'll do this, and whoops, that. And that's because I was passing this here like that, so I'm just keeping the multi-line function, or comment rather, going. Okay, so now that we have those, we've got that functionality tied to our button clicks, we should be able to just go file, generate trainer, we'll say generate trainer, okay, we'll name it ASDF, save. Okay, you might have to toggle target process is 64-bit, even if it's not, because I was having some issues, and the solution I found, for whatever reason, is toggling this. If you don't change the icon here and you click generate, you'll get this error that you're going to see pop up, which is fine. Alright, so I saved that to the desktop. I'm going to close that. Okay, and let's bring up the trainer. Yes. Alright, and so I'm going to put the trainer down here. I'm going to close that script for now. And I'm going to bring back up the memory viewer. And now whenever I hit enable, we should see the symbols pop up and the code change here. Alright, so the symbols did not enable. Okay, just to chime in really quickly here, after doing this video I went and looked to see what the issue was, and it's just like a context thing. So the instance of Cheat Engine that we were in, when we were looking for the symbol names, we wouldn't see those because the trainer has its own context. So we will see in going forward here. I'm going to let the video continue playing out as I finished recording it, but just know that it's context. So when we see the memory addresses populate, you know, whenever we enable, and it knows where to jump to for our code injection and then to jump back, that's a result of the symbol names working properly within the context of the trainer. Okay, so I take a guess in a little bit as when we resume the normal video, I take a guess that because the variables are named like they are and whatnot, the Cheat Engine knows where to go, but that's not actually it. It is a result of the symbols enabling and doing what needs to be done so that Cheat Engine knows where to reference things. Alright, so just wanted to clear that up. So onward with the video. This is another issue that I was having at some point. For some reason, the symbols aren't registering. So I'm going to go disable. And because I referenced the actual variable names, everything is all good with enabling and disabling. But in terms of referencing a symbol name, that for whatever reason isn't popping up. So let me close that trainer, and I'm going to go file, oh, not there, file, generate trainer. Okay, click no on that. Generate trainer. Okay, that, yes, and I'm going to keep 32-bit here, and then I'm going to say generate, and let's see what happens with a 32-bit one. Okay, close that. Let's run it. Yes. Okay, so let's watch memory viewer here. Enable. Okay, attempt to call a string value. This is the error that I was getting for having it 32-bit. Okay. So I'm just going to have to look and see what the deal is with the symbol names. If I don't do the decode function, if I just went file, table, show this, okay, instead of doing the decode function, okay, I'm going to copy the enable, auto-assemble script, and yeah, okay. So I'm just trying to get my bearings again. So let me get rid of that. Let's get rid of this. I'm undoing my comments essentially, keeping the functions there. All right, and then we'll pass script enabled. All right, yep, script enabled, and then we'll pass script disabled to this one. Okay, and so now if I go File, Generate Trainer, Generate, okay, do that, yes, and then let's keep it 32-bit and say Generate. Oh, it's because I have the trainer running. And now I'll say OK and click that again. I'll get that error again. Okay, we know the deal. Boom, let's run it. All right, there it is. Close that for now. Bring this up, bring up the symbols, hit enable. All right, so for whatever reason, it's not working with that script either. Let me go disable. But since we go follow, it is referencing that properly. Let's follow that back. Technically, I guess the cheat is still working. Okay. So, yeah, for whatever reason, at the moment, passing that, the register symbol isn't working properly. I'll have to look into that and do some research, but long story short, once I get that solved, whatever, but you see how to do the decode function thing and how to encode your functions. That was the main point of this tutorial. So, anyway, all right. Thanks so much for watching. If you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. Check out some other tutorials, and I'll just see you on the next one. Take care.